So, hi and welcome to this tutorial on Sculthorpe Snow, Moon and Flowers from ABRSM Grade A. I can't believe that in a different video I called this piece lightweight. It's so not lightweight. I think that on superficial first impression it can seem lightweight, and I've seen a few other people fall into this trap on YouTube, and they just play it like... I'm speeding it up just to kind of get an idea. And they're just like playing the notes. And so on and so on. I'll just skip a bit. And so on and so on. I think it's very easy to miss a lot of actually the deeper subtleties of this piece. And so what I would urge anyone to do who is basically wants to learn this and is looking at this, pay attention to the articulations. So articulations are all the accents, and you've got tenutos. So tenutos are sort of used very differently by different composers. And for me, usually when I see a tenuto, so the tenuto is the accent which is just a line. It's not like the little chevron-y thing. I'll stick it in the corner of the video. So so every time you see a tenuto accent, which is just like a straight line, to me and most composers, what it means is emphasize that note, and you usually emphasize it by not only being just a little bit louder, but you just kind of pause just a little bit on it. So for example, if I read a little bit of the blurb underneath where it says the three night pieces of 1971, Snow, Moon and Flowers, Night and Stars illustrate Sculthorpe's deep feeling for the delicacy and beauty of natural phenomena. Now you could give this sentence, and I'll go from the word illustrate, you could give this sentence completely different meanings by emphasizing different words. So for example, I could say, illustrate Sculthorpe's deep feeling for the delicacy and beauty of natural phenomena. Or I could say, illustrate Sculthorpe's deep feeling for the delicacy and beauty of natural phenomena, or illustrate Sculthorpe's deep feeling for the delicacy and beauty of natural phenomena. Now what I'm doing there, every time that I do that, I'm stressing that word. That word is the thing that comes out in the meaning. And how do we do this? We do this by slowing it down and making it a little bit louder. So again, if you sort of, and you can try this for yourself, you can choose a word and see how you do this. So if we choose the word beauty, and we go, illustrate Sculthorpe's deep feeling for the delicacy and beauty of natural phenomena. What is it that we do? We pause a little bit, we just make it that little bit louder. So that's what happens every time we see a tenuto mark. Sometimes, not always with all composers, but I think that's what happens here. So we've got... and you just pause a little bit. A bit much there. Let me do that again. Very hard to control this. So it's a little bit louder, and I just take a little bit longer with that note, because in my opinion, the effect that you want to create is you're drawing the ear to those notes with the accents in the same kind of way that, let's take some of the list B pieces. So the list B piece, you've got Poulenc, you've got and here the emphasis is the tune. You don't want to play, you don't want just a massive sound coming at you. You are picking out, you're picking out the tune. And then it's going to be a similar thing in the intermezzo, which is the Brahms, the first one. So you're choosing what to bring out from it. You're not just going. No. You're choosing. And then I'm picking which notes are important. And it's the same thing with the air, the Helen Hopekirk piece, which I haven't recorded yet, but what it isn't, it is not. Hopefully you can hear the difference, right? So it's a similar thing in Snow, Moon and Flowers. I believe that we are meant to kind of just ignore to some degree all these other notes. So important, and then not important, not important, not important, not important, important, not important, not important, not important, important, and then change of pedal. I'll come to this in a minute. So not important, just background. Important, not important, important, and then not important, but a little bit louder. Important, 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 and all the others not important. And I'm exaggerating. I was exaggerating there. Got carried away. And then important, important, and then these are really important in the left hand because they've got these proper accents. This is the key. This is the absolute key, in my opinion, to understanding this piece of music. And until you get this, it might seem, well, that's so easy. What's it doing at grade 8? But when you start to sort of see the challenge is to bring out the notes with articulations and ignore the others. So, for example, moon. 1, 2, 2. A bit louder. That one, and then not important, that kind of thing. Is that right? Yeah. So the challenge is to almost not hear the notes without the accents. Now I actually took the time in Sibelius to actually do a proper, complete copy of every detail, but only writing out the notes with the accents. This was so much work because there's so many things that Sibelius is just really bad at. So, for example, we've got 1 and 2 and 3. Maybe a little bit quieter. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and change of pedal and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 1, 2, 1 and so on and so on. So yeah, basically I wrote all this out because I think that it's actually worth practicing. If you're going to learn this properly and do this, sort of spend some time with this, I really recommend learning what I call the skeleton version of it. And it's like the skeleton because all these other notes don't really matter anywhere near as much as this whole skeleton. They're the things that your ear needs to be listening out for. So, if you're interested in having a copy of this, do contact me. When you then start to learn this music so that you are really listening for the notes with the accent and not really hearing all the others. Like, let's go from bar 11. Not so important, not so important, not so important, not so important. Important, important. And then it becomes quite challenging to know when it's pianissimo, do we want to bring this out mezzo piano? And I believe that actually you can bring those out. They don't have to be pianissimo. Possibly in the recording that I've made of this, that I put on YouTube, possibly I've been a little bit too loud with them. But I think I'd rather be too loud than too quiet, because I want people to hear that they're there. And it's better that way round. And if I was performing it, I might be a little bit more subtle. But because I'm sort of giving an example of how to play this piece, I want people to hear that. Yeah. So important. Do practice it with a metronome as well, by the way, because it's quite hard to really sort of internalize the speeds. I think it needs quite a bit of time just getting used to what that tempo marking feels like, and then just be a lot more relaxed with it. Something you do not want to do. You do not want to play it because the whole point. Peter Sculthorpe was very influenced by. At the time, he was very influenced by sort of Far Eastern music. There's a lot of Zen, there's a lot of space and mystery, and it's all about the spaces in between the notes and the whole thing and the moods. And there's two ways, I'll try not to go into this too much, I'm writing a book about this at the moment that includes this, but there's two ways of listening to music. There's analytic and holistic. So analytic is when we're A flat, B, G, B, C, A flat, B, G, and we listen to them one by one. This is kind of how we play when we're a bit less musical, when we're a bit sort of striving and working hard, and sort of it's a very ploddy, very sort of narrow focused way of looking at it. And then there's the holistic way, which is it's like we hear the whole bar, the whole piece. It's like the whole piece is reflected in the one note. You hear the spaces in between all the notes. You feel the whole mood. It's almost like your whole body just feels it. I'm not going to go into this too much, but it's like, are you hearing the full phrase? Or are you just hearing note, 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 note? Now they might sound similar, but your audience will feel completely different things. There's all kinds of interesting phenomenon that, oh my God, the time's gone so fast. Oh, I haven't set the time, okay. That'll be why. There's all kinds of interesting phenomenon that it's possible to measure brainwaves, and brainwaves can give you a reasonable idea of, are you in a narrow, concentrated focus, note by note, or are you really sort of grounded and hearing the full phrase, hearing the spaces in between all the notes? You can measure this kind of thing by measuring brainwaves. And what's really interesting is you can put stuff that measures brainwaves on a performer, of someone who's playing the piano, and you can put them the same stuff that measures brainwaves on people in the audience, and everybody's brainwaves synchronize to the performer. So however you are approaching this is however your audience is going to hear it. And if you're going, your audience will hear this ploddy one by one narrow focused way of hearing it, and you want to just be floating. You're floating. You're just completely floating. It's all happening at once. It's like, to come back to the analogy of reading a sentence, if you read that same sentence, illustrate Sculthorpe's deep feeling for the delicacy and beauty of natural phenomena, and sort of keep going like that, most of you will find that when you are halfway through the sentence, you already know how that sentence is going to finish. What you don't do, you don't read like, illustrate Sculthorpe's deep feeling for the delicacy and beauty of natural phenomena, like each word is just a thing and you don't know how they all fit together. That doesn't sound natural. And it's exactly the same with music. You have to play it you're reading a sentence and a phrase and a whole story. When we tell a story, we know where the story is heading, we know what happens at the end of the sentence, we know more or less what's going to be said in the next few sentences. That's what music needs to be like. But yet a lot of people get stuck into he wrote that the first piece is based on a right. So you gotta just open your mind up, open your mind, go in a broader focus, know where you're going, feel the gaps, feel the space, imagine snow, imagine the depth of snow, imagine the 3D depth and that you can see in the distance, you can see it in the foreground and the in-betweenness of it, you know. Same with moon, same with flowers. That's what this piece is about. This piece is about that holistic way of listening. How much do I want to go into this? There are interesting psychological experiments that show that people from Eastern cultures, and I think in a lot of these studies, they tended to be Japan, and you compare them with people from Western cultures, such as America, that basically American people tend to see things in an analytic way, and Japanese people are more inclined to see things in a holistic way. And you can illustrate this, for example, by showing people a painting and describing and asking people to describe what it is that they see, to put it into words. People from Western cultures will tend to talk about the things in the foreground, the things nearest you, and just talk about them in isolation from everything else. People from Eastern cultures will talk about the entire scene and the background and how everything relates to everything else. So I mention this because Peter Sculthorpe is specifically interested by this aspect of Far Eastern music in his music. So when you play it, you want to practice this very holistic state of mind, which is the relationship between the notes and not just the notes in themselves. I'll put some links to that. It can be a little bit contentious, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of evidence that backs this kind of thing up. Anyway, so if I had to recommend somewhere to start that's the most difficult bit, it would be where it becomes double tempo. So by the way, bar 9 in Flowers, so that's the last page, bar 9, just after the double bars. Dopo movimento, that means twice as fast. So basically, whatever your tempo marking was, which is quaver is 69, it then becomes twice as fast as that. So if you're starting going, it's twice as fast basically. So it's been a few days since I recorded it, and it was only very, very short-term memory. And then the accents must be in the right place. Now, I found that at the tempo marking that's marked here at twice the speed, I found it very hard to do the pedalling marked in bar 9. And the pedalling is so important. You must follow the pedalling because it's crucial to all the sounds that you're hearing. Now here, I'm going to play bar 9 really slowly. It's tenuto with pedal. Now to get this leaning on the E natural, it's just a little bit uncomfortably fast at that tempo marking. So I just hold it back a little bit. So it's really important to me. I'm sure that was important to Peter Sculthorpe when he wrote it, this leaning into that E natural, because it makes that interval with the note at the top, especially in bar 12. And then here, accent, accent. Don't accent anything else. Don't just make it a mass of notes that goes, whatever it is. I'm going from bar 14. You're missing the whole point. You are missing the whole point. It's got to be... whatever it is. Now, I also think that you should pay attention to when things are staccato or staccato with a tenuto, because yes, everything's in the pedal, and yeah, it shouldn't really matter. So for example, let's take the beginning of Moon. Beginning of Moon is... now it doesn't matter, it doesn't actually matter in terms of sound, arguably, although some people do argue this, but for the sake of this video, let's say it doesn't make a difference to the sound whether or not I actually do a staccato or just leave my finger down. So staccato, and then I'm going to do the same thing but just keeping my finger down. Now, in terms of the physics of the piano, in many ways that shouldn't make a difference, but I think that a lot of contemporary pieces can really be helped by the theatrics of what you do. And not only contemporary music, there's a huge amount of research that shows that how people move when they play any music, and this is any kind of classical, pop, whatever, but you know, especially classical, the way that you move massively influences an audience, even when they don't believe that they are being influenced. So there is a difference visually between going and going. And I urge you to be theatric with this, to go, you know, show those things. And also, normally I am the first person to redistribute the hands if it's just easier. If it's easier to something that was in the left hand to put in the right hand, most of the time I'm happy to do that. In this piece, I believe that there is a reason why he wants this in this hand and this in this hand. I've seen some people on YouTube redistribute. I just think, no, like especially this whole bit in bar 15, don't redistribute that, just go, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. If you play the way that it's written, yeah, it's a little bit trickier that way, but it's all part of its charm. It's all part of what it's doing. It's, I think it's just not the same. Even if it sounds the same, it's not the same. I think a lot of this is about visually how you look as you play it. Yeah, I also realised when I was watching other people's videos after I'd recorded it, the glissando at the end, I think I went too far. I think he has actually written, and he wants you to finish there. So bear in mind that I've not played what's written here. And some people actually go, so that with the left hand, so that they make sure they finish on that note. As far as I'm concerned, I quite like it up there. In fact, if I was performing it, I'd still be tempted to keep that. But just be tempted, I mean, yeah, just be aware that that's not actually what's written, and I misread that. So, but I like it going all the way up. I like it visually, you know, talking about it visually. And then I like this just disappearing off the end, and it's much more satisfying visually than just going and then stopping there. That just feels really weird to me, but yeah, anyway. Incidentally, that bar 25 to 27, bar 27, it's that bottom note is linked to the top stave, and I think that it actually does work quite nicely in the left hand. So I was wondering why it had been done that way. Now I like it in the right hand, and then with the thumb, because it has a tenuto, and then either finishing there or off there if you like. But yeah, I mean, basically, don't be fooled by this piece. To get the accuracy of all of these accents coming out slightly louder than everything else takes a huge amount of control. And also to make it feel deeply, deeply musical and have everything accurate, to do both things at once is really, really, really difficult. I think you're either going to be highly accurate or you're going to have a lot of feeling. And to have both is very challenging. And funnily enough, when I was looking on YouTube to see, what my competition was and how other people had played it, there's a 10-year-old girl who plays this by heart, who nails it. And she plays it better than, I think, anyone, any adult, any professional. She absolutely nails this piece. Almost every single sort of marking is completely in place. And yet you feel her deep love and her sort of, and she's listening in this very expansive way, not in this narrow, focused, concentrated way, but in this very, very sort of open, receptive way, playing everything from memory. She's memorized every single detail. It's crazy. She's 10. And I just don't think it's possible for anyone, for any professional, to play it better than this little girl that's played it. I'll put a link in the description. It's just wow. So that's probably something to aim for as well. The way that she plays it. So yeah. Do not be fooled. This is a piece with a lot of depth, and it's not just playing the notes without paying attention to pedaling, accents, crescendo, decrescendo. Give it love. Give it a lot of love. Pay attention to detail with it because it deserves it. Anyway, hope you really enjoyed this piece, and I hope you have the patience to really, dig deep and do all these details in it. So thanks for watching. Do subscribe as well. Thanks very much. Bye.